we have been on this roller coaster since Roe was overturned.
We've seen over a dozen states vote to legalize abortion in their constitutions since 2022.
That's why we're seeking to change people's minds.
We wanted to ask the question, is it possible that we could actually reverse that? Could we actually sway public opinion enough to repeal those?
What do we do now? What do we do in a state where abortion is a constitutional right?
And let's try to test that. And we were able to reduce support for abortion by...
There's something happening in Michigan, not in the Capitol or in a courtroom, but on sidewalks, in student unions with busy quads, and at front doors in ordinary neighborhoods. Nearly 20 years ago, a handful of college students gathered on the campus of Michigan State University with a simple conviction: young people could change the culture. They believed that if you trained students to speak with clarity, compassion, and courage, lives could change. And they were right. Protect Life Michigan began as 6 student groups working together, shoulder to shoulder. Today, it's a statewide force, more than 50 campuses, dozens of staff, and an army of high school and college leaders reshaping the conversation on abortion with one-on-one, human-to-human conversations. At the center of this mission are 2 people who have lived the story from the inside. Christen Polo, the first staff member hired back in 2013, and the trailblazer who built the model, raised the movement and watched it explode from a fledgling idea into a statewide engine for persuasion. And Trevor Polo, the data-driven strategist who's now serving as the executive director and proving year after year that public opinion really can shift, sometimes by the thousands, sometimes by entire communities. Together, they are mentoring the next generation of pro-life leaders, deploying students into the public square and showing discouraged Americans that the pro-life movement is not losing ground. It's learning how to win hearts again. From mind-changing campus conversations to community-wide persuasion campaigns, to being invited into rooms as unlikely as the White House. This husband and wife team has a front row seat to the changing landscape of life in America. And today, they're here to share the hope, the strategy, the setbacks, and the victories, and ultimately the path forward for the pro-life movement. This is Living Pro-Life. Hey, thanks for listening to Living Pro-Life. Make sure to be part of the growing base of people making Coalition Life happen. And so we ask you today, please consider donating $1 for our One Life campaign. Your $1 can help build a culture of life. Your $1 can help save a baby from the tragedy of abortion. Your $1 can help women in need who need us more than ever. Consider donating $1 today, supporting our mission here at Coalition Life, and ultimately helping to end abortion throughout our great country. Now back to Living Pro-Life.
Well, hello, Christen, Trevor, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having us, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Michigan is a great state. I'm glad that you guys are doing so much hard work up there. I think from a political perspective, you call yourselves maybe a purple state, but we're not here to talk about politics, are we?
No, not today.
No, not today. So, so there's a lot of really, really impressive things you guys are doing there in Michigan. And thank you for your work, first and foremost. And, I heard, though, Christen, you had to give up your job to your husband. Is this true?
I know. What is going on? I was executive director here for about 11 years and stepped down a little over a year ago for Trevor to join the movement full time, which is an answer to many people's prayers. He's a very bright mind, and we're fortunate to have him on staff finally after many years of volunteering.
Christen, I did want to talk to you, first, and thank you, Trevor, for hanging on with us here. But I heard you were the very first employee of Protect Life Michigan. I'm saying that correct. Protect Life Michigan.
Yes.
How was that journey? So how did that all get started back in 2005? Like, what was the impetus of doing this whole thing?
Well, I will never forget the day I came home from teaching piano lessons. That was my full-time gig. And I told my new husband, I'm going to quit my job and become a pro-life missionary. He was like, we're going to lose the house. You're the breadwinner here. So we had a lot to figure out in those early days, but I had done some work nationally with other pro-life organizations and just saw that there was such an opportunity in our state to reach young people with the truth about abortion and engage them in this fight. And I felt God's calling on me to move forward and be the first one to come on staff with this organization. They've been around since 2005, 2006. Protect Life Michigan started as like an umbrella organization to support 6 of the college groups that existed in our state. And then over time, we just recognized the need to recruit, equip, and deploy young people on more campuses in more communities to change minds on abortion.
Wow. Well, so Trevor, you now have taken this whole thing over and you are now your wife's boss. How incredible. Hey,
I mean, on paper, maybe practically, I'm not sure, but yeah.
yes. Yeah. So tell me about, coming on the staff and what you guys are working on.
Yeah. So just over the past several years, I've been working in the corporate world in tech specifically for some startups, and just felt the calling to make the leap into full-time pro-life work. And was reluctant, was resisting a little bit, but after making that leap last year, I've just been so blessed by the opportunity to serve in the movement. We are a public persuasion organization that primarily works on trying to reach young people with the truth about abortion and also recruit and deploy pro-life young people to go out and reach their peers. So we're very hopeful for the future of the pro-life movement. I know a lot of people are discouraged about the state of the pro-life movement in some states, at least. And more every day, I'm seeing that people are coming out and speaking against this injustice more forcefully, more persuasively, more compassionately than ever before. So I have renewed hope that in our lifetime, abortion can truly be made unthinkable.
So tell us, go a little bit deeper into what exactly you guys do on college. Is it college campuses mostly, or?
Yeah, primarily high school, college campuses, and some communities. Yeah.
Okay. So what, if, someone's searching for what you guys are doing, how does that all work? What are the functional things that are happening? What's happening on the ground? What's the secret sauce, if you will?
Yeah. So what we do, we go out, we recruit young people who are pro-life to get involved in primarily campus clubs. We're on 20 campuses right now in the state of Michigan, and we train them on how to talk in a winsome and persuasive way about the issue of abortion. And then we don't just sit in a room and talk about how pro-life we are and congratulate each other. We send them out onto campus or into communities to go start conversations. And that's really what we do is we talk to pro-choice people. We ask them, hey, what do you think about abortion? And then we go through our apologetics. We ask them questions. At the very end, we ask if they changed their mind on the issue of abortion. And 34% of the time in the past 12 months, that pro-choice person has admitted to us that they changed their position in that conversation.
Wow. Now, Christen, I know you've been doing this for a long time. Tell me about the trends and the polling that you guys are doing. And my understanding is you're not relying on somebody else to run the polls. You're doing them yourselves.
That's right. So over the years, we've done a number of polls. Sometimes we're doing them ourselves, like what we just talked about. When we finish a conversation, we're asking people, how has this conversation changed your mind on abortion? In the last year, we've even pushed that farther and asked, if you were president and you had the opportunity to sign legislation tomorrow banning abortion, would you sign that? So we want to know, just, are they morally opposed to abortion? Are they also legally opposed to allowing abortion. So we're doing that in every conversation and every outreach, but we're also polling community members as well. We do large scale projects every summer in communities to see if we can sway an entire community's beliefs about abortion, and we'll do digital polling to see how much movement we've had there. And I think you'd be shocked by the progress we've seen in that regard as well.
Awesome. Well, we're talking with Christen and Trevor Polo with Protect Life Michigan. Thank you again for all the work you're doing and for being on the program. So what are the big swings that are happening in our country? I think the Dobbs decision was supposed to be this massive victory. We're supposed to have a big party, and I think a lot of us did have some big parties. But what's the big swing now? It just seems like after the parties and all of the confetti kind of wore off, what are we doing now?
Yeah, that's such a great question because we have been on this roller coaster since Roe was overturned. In Michigan, we did celebrate big that day, but we were in the midst of fighting a constitutional amendment in Michigan that ultimately passed, and now abortion is legal here as a constitutional right through all 9 months of pregnancy. And so we have our work cut out for us, working to change people's minds so that we can one day repeal that constitutional amendment. That's our goal. That's why we're seeking to change people's minds. But even since then, there has been another upswing of people wondering, what do we do now? What do we do in a state where abortion is a constitutional right? And we're giving people the opportunity to get involved and see that they can actually change minds, giving them hope for the future of our state. So that has been something that's been really encouraging to a lot of folks here in Michigan. We have seen this resurgence in the last couple months on college campuses with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and so many young people who have gotten involved in what we're doing. And so, there's definitely very dark days as pro-lifers. We've all been through them, but the Lord continues to provide and work even in the midst of that darkness.
So, Trevor, we got to chat a little bit beforehand, and you had said that other groups are seeing what you're doing and want to get involved as well. So tell me about some of those other groups and how they could also get involved. Michigan is only one of 50 states. So how could they also bring it to their state?
Yes, if you're watching this, send us an email after so that we'll give you everything we have. You can put your own logo on it and start doing this stuff in your own state.
Really, yeah. And really what we wanted to do last year is test, okay, we've seen over a dozen states vote to legalize abortion in their constitutions since 2022. Is it possible? We wanted to ask the question, is it possible that we could actually reverse that? Could we actually sway public opinion enough to repeal those or to actually pass protections for unborn children and their mothers? And let's try to test that. So we picked a purple district of the state of Michigan, and we spent 4 months running a persuasion campaign. We hired an external polling firm to measure before, during, and after that campaign to see how effective it was. And we were able to reduce support for abortion by 8% in just 4 months. And that's important because we lost in Michigan our Proposal 3 campaign by 7%. So if we can move a community by 8%, now it's not a question of, what do we need to do? It's how can we grow what we do? And when we shared those results with pro-lifers from across the country, we had people from Iowa, Ohio, and Florida, Arizona reaching out saying, how can I bring this to my state? So we've been working with them, even groups in Canada, working with them to actually build out and replicate and make this a reusable model for how we can change communities, change states, and ultimately change the laws in the nation that will result in hundreds of thousands of lives being saved.
Incredible. So what's the path forward? We know that as we get new politicians and everything else in Washington or in our state capitals and whatnot, these individuals are flawed just like everybody else is, right? What is a path forward to take back these ballot initiatives? In the state of Missouri, for example, we lost, Amendment 3. Hopefully we have some new efforts coming forward. But, there's a lot of losses out there. So what would you say for maybe from a grander scale, we should be doing?
Yeah, I think one is never give in to discouragement. We don't need people that are going to fight 1 year against a vote or against a ballot proposal like in Missouri last year or Michigan a few years ago. We need people that are willing to fight foot by foot, yard by yard to gain ground back for unborn lives and their mothers. Two, we need people that are willing to talk about abortion directly. Like sometimes we want to talk on the periphery of it, like what kind of abortion's okay, and what if parental consent or regulations on the clinics. Those are all good and great things to advocate for, but we also need to be willing to talk about the issue itself. Is abortion something that we should have in our society or not? And the way we do it is by making sure that we are consistent in talking about it as a human rights violation. So I'd love to see the pro-life movement really consolidate around messaging that focuses on, if you believe in human rights, if you believe in human equality and in nonviolence, then abortion runs opposite to that in every way. So that's how we change pro-choice minds on college campus, because every single one of them values human rights, values equality, values nonviolence perspectives. And if we can frame it as that issue, then we can really make a lot of progress in public opinion.
Now, Kristen, we had chatted a little bit about religion with regards to pro-life related issues. Of course, many who work in the pro-life movement are Christian, or at least have some kind of a religious motivation to be able to do the work that they do. I mean, they're sacrificing great jobs like being piano teachers and whatnot. And they're sacrificing this to do the work every single day. And many of them are religious in nature. But how are we to take that and then do the work on the ground as well? Are we supposed to lead with religion, or are we supposed to lead in different ways?
Yeah, it's a great question for us specifically, because we're talking to young people on college campuses, many of who are not aligned with us when it comes to religion. That is why I think that human rights perspective has been so valuable, because we're starting from a position of common ground. Doesn't matter what political party or religion you are, you understand that violence is not a solution to problems. Now, that's the angle we approach this by, and that's where we've seen the most progress and the best results, is by starting from that point of common ground. But absolutely, in doing pro-life ministry, there are opportunities to minister to people who desperately need the forgiveness and restoration that a relationship with Jesus Christ provides. And we don't shy away from that, right? If there are opportunities to minister to people in that way, we certainly want to.
And even just in Detroit a couple months ago, one of our young interns, he's 19 years old, was talking to this man in his 40s, talking about abortion, started with a human rights perspective, but this guy shared that he had been a part of 8 or 9 abortions. He couldn't even remember. And how only one of his children survived. And our intern took the opportunity to pray with him and talk about forgiveness and healing, and share the gospel with this man who had lost 8 or 9 of his own children at his own hand, ultimately, in a way. And there's so many opportunities for healing and sharing the gospel as part of what we're doing, even when we start from this common ground, this neutral perspective of human rights belong to all humans, no matter your age.
Now, Trevor, you've made a commentary about them being, or labeling these individuals as being pro-choice. Is that done intentionally, or is that something you've really thought about before?
Yeah, I think there's like sometimes in the pro-life movement, it's like, do we say pro-choice? Do we say pro-abortion? Like, how do we label people? And I think labels have a lot of power. In our experience, like I personally have talked to over 2,000 individuals that do support abortion over the past several years. And the reason I stick with calling them pro-choice is that for the most part, people haven't carefully thought about this issue. The average college student, when you ask, hey, what do you think about abortion? They'll say, I don't know. I support a woman's right to choose. And you say, oh, why? And they're like, and that's the response. So, most of the time, they are not out there saying, I love abortion, I support abortion. And if they want to call themselves pro-choice, I'm going to start with how they want to refer to themselves. I'm not going to try to introduce a barrier. I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to talk about abortion. And I can see immediately in so many people's minds and just in their eyes light up when we talk about it as a human rights violation. It makes it very easy for them to then identify as pro-life. That's the methodology. Have I met pro-abortion people? Absolutely.
They do exist.
That is more the exception than the norm in our experience.
Incredible. So Kristen, tell us about your big, huge summer program.
Yeah, so every summer, there's not as many people on the college campuses where we do the majority of our work. So we run a full-time summer internship where we actually deploy young people to persuadable communities. Each year we select a community that we want. For some reason, we know that there's an angle there where we can help those people see the truth about abortion and believe that our messages will take root in them. So we started in Novi a couple years ago, Novi, Michigan. Then this last year we were in Royal Oak, and we are targeting that community with the truth about abortion through street outreach. Our interns go door to door. They deliver tens of thousands of materials to people's doorsteps, have conversations with them. But there's also a digital element as well, where they will see our advertisements on gas pumps, on their cell phones, on YouTube, to make sure that they're repeatedly being exposed to the pro-life message. And some of our polling from those communities has been remarkable. We have seen communities move by as much as 8%, becoming 8% more pro-life in just a matter of months, which is pretty encouraging.
Wow. So when I'm out there pumping my gas, I get a pro-life message, is what you're telling me.
That's right.
I try to ignore those as ads as much as I can, but
you shouldn't, Brian.
Maybe I'll pay attention here just a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
We already have, I think, 40 interns that are signed up to work for us on our next campaign. So we're pretty excited for that.
Incredible. So, all right, how can I get involved in Protect Life Michigan?
Yeah, they can go to protectlifemi.org. There's a get involved page. We want people that are willing to just learn about what we're doing, be a part of it if they are local to Michigan, or if they're not and they want to figure out how they can bring some of these strategies to campuses or communities near them. Reach out to us. We are an open book. We will gladly share anything, any experience, any materials we have with anyone looking to do effective pro-life work.
Incredible. We're talking with Trevor and Christen Polo with Protect Life Michigan. Kristen, you always get the last word. So tell us, give us some inspiring motivation as we head out.
Young people get it. They really do. They've been lied to about abortion, but they are so open to hearing the truth and responding to it. And no matter where you are in this country right now, I would encourage you to follow along with what we're doing. Be encouraged by the GoPro footage we have of young people changing their mind. We're posting it every day and sharing it at protectlifemi.org. Be encouraged because the future is bright thanks to the many young people who are getting engaged in this cause.
Well, Trevor, Kristen, thank you as always for being on the program. You're incredible, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.